How did the ancient Greeks formulate their prayers? To formulate an ancient Greek prayer, at least according to Homer, you must use a specific formula. First of all, you must invoke the god by using an invocation to get their attention. Then you give your argument, your persuasion, and then you make your request in the petition. So for the invocation, you must use the specific title and epithets for the god you were talking to, and maybe mention their favourite places or shrines. There are a lot of gods. This needs to be right. Just as when you address an envelope, you put exactly the right details on it. Then in the argument, you remind the god of favours they've done you in the past or that you've done for them, and suggest favours you have done or are willing to do. The gods do nothing for nothing. This relationship is reciprocal. It is a transaction of deeds. So you must make a promise of something that you will do if they give you what you want. And finally, you tell them the favour you wish them to do for you, and whether it is for yourself or for others. For an example, we're going to use Diomedes' prayer to Athene from the Iliad. He says, "Hear me, child of Zeus, unwearied one that bears the aegis," thus referring to Athene in 3 different ways, using a patronym, child of Zeus, and 2 of her other traditional epithets. "Just as you followed my father and aided him," reminds Athene that she has done favours for this family before. "To you I will sacrifice a sleek heifer, broad of forehead, unbroken, which no man has led beneath the yoke, with gilded horns." Here, Diomedes is promising to sacrifice a cow from the herd that has never been yoked. It has never really been put to use, and thus its value is more because they are giving up this cow and they're not going to be able to use it in the way that they normally would, and that is what makes it a sacrifice. They're also going to add value by gilding its horns, which was a traditional way of making the sacrificial animal even more beautiful and thus more desirable and valuable to the god. And he is promising to do this later on. "Now stand by my side in battle" is his request. It's quite a simple directive. As Athene, for men, is the god of warfare and tactics, he's asking for her help. Please note, number 1 must be done first. Obviously, you must address the god. But often, sections 2 and 3 are switched or blended depending on the circumstances of the worshipper. However, this 1, 2, 3 is the most effective combination. You hook the god by getting them interested with your address and getting them understanding of who you are and what you'll do for them before you make your request. There are further prayer specifics depending on your circumstances. There are physical requirements, specific locations, the prayer formula you will use, and when you perform the prayer. When you are making sacrifice, you would use a formal prayer. The physical requirement, your arms and palms should be up, facing the god in Olympus, as it were. The specific location is normally in front of the temple and the altar where you'll be making your sacrifice. You will be giving a long and detailed prayer that you have probably written for the occasion, and you would perform this normally at dawn. If you are making an informal prayer, which is the type that we see most often in the Iliad and the Odyssey, the physical requirement is really just your voice. You're going to call upon the god. You might not have time or the ability to put your hands up. The specific location is wherever you are, for example, in the middle and the heat of battle. The prayer formula for this reason is going to be short and specific. You want to get to the point as quickly as possible because when you're performing it is most likely going to be before an action, perhaps before you throw your spear, shoot your arrow, although arrows really shouldn't be on the battlefield because they're not exactly an honourable weapon, or before you hit someone with your sword if you're rich enough to have a sword. In the first place, you might actually be hitting someone with a rock because you are poor. However, if you are making your prayer to a chthonic god, there are similarities and differences to a formal prayer that you will use. For example, the physical requirement is now to place your arms and palms down, facing the underworld. The specific location will still be perhaps in front of the temple and the altar where you're making your sacrifice. And the prayer formula is going to be long and detailed. But this time, you're going to be performing it at dusk, which is a time of day more befitting the underworld gods. To recap, you need an invocation, an argument, and a petition to make your prayer. There are 3 different general types of prayer. They're the most popular: formal, informal, chthonic, and different things you must do when making those prayers. But overall, you must beware. Even if you follow the formula and complete each ritual perfectly, the gods are under no obligation at all to act upon or even hear your request, as we see in Iliad Book 6, when Theano prays on behalf of the Trojan women to Athene, but Pallas Athene refused their prayer. They're on the wrong side in that battle. So to formulate an ancient Greek prayer, at least according to Homer, simply follow those simple rules, and hopefully the gods will be on your side.